Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. As I log into the game to set the scene for the visuals of the story, I think it's important to note that this is in some ways not a new complaint. This is just an evolution of years worth of complaints. It also is notable that there are people every time I do a video talking about why people message me that they're walking away from the game that say, Prof, if you want people to walk away from the game, you talk about people walking away from the game. And someday, when nobody's playing the game, we'll blame you. That is an extraordinary concern that my channel would have so much power over this community that just the very essence of doing a video explaining why so many people are quitting would have such a huge effect. It's so funny to me because I get two different complaints about my channel still in 2024. One is that, of course, I make too many videos, which is fair. But the other one is like, hey, nobody even watches you anymore. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm not doing this for anybody else besides like the one person that I said yes to. If I get a video and it gets 100 views, that means 99 of the 100, I'm guessing, are people I didn't expect to watch a video. But the other thing is, how can you say that nobody watches your channel, but then too many people are going to watch your channel? It's just, it's kind of hilarious. It's kind of funny. I find amusement in it at this point in my life. But let's just pretend for a second that you're somebody that's new and you download this game, you see a commercial for it, maybe on social media, maybe on like traditional broadcast television, and you see there's an alliance, there's a fight, there's a crystals, there's a champions inventory. Now my guess is you'll say, oh, I want to fight. Like I saw champions on TV fighting, I'm going to fight. So I click on fight to see how I fight, and this comes up. I was expecting like a one-screen tutorial over how to fight, and maybe at the beginning you'll see something different that does that, but eventually you'll see Act 8, event quests, whatever the heck Winter of Woe is, battlegrounds, side quest, alliance war, alliance quest, incursions, daily quest, special quest, arena quest, back issues quest, and there is the training buried at the very bottom right of this huge. And I think a lot of people would just delete the app immediately. They'd be like, I wanted basic edition and I downloaded calculus. No thanks. So I've done that story before on this channel, but I haven't done even people who've played this game for years story. Because the joke has always been in this community that if you play MCOC, it's your second and third job. And it's a joke because it's sad. But the truth is, it's not really a joke because it's the truth. It's just flat out the truth. But now, what happens if MCOC is your second and third job and you still don't have enough time for it? That is the world that we are going to describe in this video. And my man, G, capital G, lowercase word knight, starts with a K, sent over the following message. I think I've left the game. That's an interesting start because normally it's not subjective. Nobody asked you, hey, are you going to have a kid? I think I'm having a kid. Wait, is your partner pregnant or not? I think they are. Have you done a test? That shouldn't be a subjective thing. Well, he thinks he's leaving the game, which usually tells me that he's coming back, but we'll see if he comes back or not. I got to Paragon and then lost my love for the game. I may revisit the game down the road. It's kind of sad that Kabam doesn't really care about free-to-play players. So there's a lot to unpack here. First off, the Paragon issue is a legitimate issue. Paragon players are tired of seeing how many better offers Valiant players get, and obviously the daily crystals and the monthly calendars, but there has not been, other than Necropolis, and I guess if you buy every really expensive offer, but even then, probably not, a opportunity for Paragon players to become Valiant. There will be, I truly believe, after 8.4 is released, but it is now March. We know that'll be at least April, maybe even May, and I've been Valiant since November. So we're talking December, January, February, March, April, May. That's 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of playing this game to not be the top progression, and a lot of Paragon players have always been the top progression, or they weren't it for like the first 2 months. I think 2 to 3 months is an acceptable window to not provide an easier path to get it, and then after that, you're really playing with fire And that's the fire that's burning these summoners that are still Paragon. But that aside, Kabam Jax also came out. And I still am a huge supporter of Kabam Jax. I know whenever I say that, people kind of roll their eyes. But I think that he's done way more good than harm for this community. And if you don't like Kabam Jax, just trust me, it could be a lot worse. Like, a lot worse. But when he said that Kabam no longer values people's time as a way to judge the metric of a summoner, that was flat out saying, if you're not swiping that credit card, if you're not spending your units, we don't value you as a player. You could leave the game and we wouldn't care because you're just taking up space. You're like somebody in Starbucks that refuses to pay for anything and still wants to use the company's Wi-Fi. Maybe at the beginning they just needed warm bodies and seats to show that people were downloading and playing the game, but now enough spenders are playing that the freeloaders could just leave. And there's a decent chunk of low spenders to free-to-play spenders who play this game that obviously don't appreciate that message. He says any opinions they have mean nothing. Now, I don't know what that means necessarily, but I do think that they've been fast to promise and slow to deliver at times. This is not always their control, I don't think, but like I have not been running recoil masteries for a couple weeks, which for me is a record. I miss the PI that my champions have in arenas. But with Winter of Woe and even some of the like Karina's challenges, you can't have recoil masteries on unless you want to spend 1,000 revives, and I don't. So I have kept my mastery set up like this out of necessity, and it's kind of frustrated me. For years, they've promised us that we could just have an easy toggle button, and they did give it to us 4 units in Battlegrounds. But this is a perfect example of something that Kabam promised years ago would be right around the corner, and we're still waiting. He says, also there's too much broken in the game to properly recover, and we've covered that. Parry is still broken for so many. The AI continues to evolve in ways that almost feel like you're fighting a human being and not a computer. The lag, the frame rate, and so many new BS defenders. He's not even bringing up the fact that if you're Valiant, you have access to the 6 stars, which you can ascend as well immediately for $100. That one change has broken the economy of the game. Take a shot. More than anything. It has. And it's kind of taken the fun out of opening crystals, which is interesting because I normally complain about that, but also that's part of why I play this game, to open crystals. And if you get the 6 star every month, you kind of have a guarantee, but that also takes some of the fun out of it and makes it kind of boring. I go back and forth on that. He says, God bless you all. Don't stress over the game. It's not worth your mental health. See you on the flip side. I have a feeling this game might not last another couple years. Well, or it'll last another couple years and you'll be back. Because we've seen people do that. They walk away from the game and they come back like, Prof, I haven't played the game since 2019. What did I miss? You're asking me to verbalize 5 years of the game in a post on a live stream? That sounds impossible. I'll say the highlights. Ascension, Battlegrounds, 7 stars, AI evolution, huge increase in microtransactions, Despair. Now you're caught up. But really, you're kind of caught up. I still think the game was at its best when it had a couple of whale holidays every 6 months, specifically Cyber Week and July 4th week. I think making those a week was fine. And then you knew that you could just save up money slowly but surely from January to July, and that everybody would be pretty close to the same rosters unless they got really lucky on crystals until then. And then you'd have one opportunity to get like the equivalent of the 2023 selector, where you can choose one 6-star that was released from any champion last year. And that was it. And so everybody would choose the Hercules of that year, but you could only get one, so it was limit 1. And so, yes, at that point it was like who had Hercules and who didn't. But even then, you can just ban them in Battlegrounds. Compare that to now Valiant players get the new champs twice a month, and if you're Paragon for 6 months and can't become Valiant, you've lost 6 months worth of guaranteed 6 stars for, let's say you've got the money, $100 per. So then by the time you become Valiant in, let's say, April or May, you're so behind because you don't have that 6-star the Serpent or the Destroyer, or even maybe Bullseye or Onslaught. And so you get matched up with somebody like me who has all of them, and you just think, I've got way better skills than this noob, which you do, but I don't have the right champions to win. And so all of that combined with the so much content that it can be a second and third job and still not have enough time to complete it is real. It's a real concern and a real issue. And I just have to say I get it. I totally get it. I get why so many of these players are quitting the game. But I also think that there's a lot of good still left in it, and the community that has stayed is the number one. I mean, people ask me all the time, besides the YouTube channel, honestly, Prof, why are you staying? Because I love the people I get to talk to every day. They're my friends. I talk to them way more than I talk to my friends, my family, or my fiance. So, I don't want to lose that. That's like losing a job and then your high school gets closed in the same day. And you think, well, I can always get another job, but I don't want to start over at a new high school. So it's actually harder for me to mourn the loss of the community than it would be the YouTube channel, which I never would have thought. So, longer than normal video, but I think it's a video that's certainly worth your time. Thank you for watching. G-Knight, we will miss you, but thank you for the honest inspiration that caused me to create this video in the first place.